अच्युतं केशवं रामनारायणं कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So Ram represents the white light, the presence, the Shiva, the stability, the silence. And Krishna represents the 7 colors of that white light, the creativity of that presence, the dance of that Shiva. So Ram is that white light. Krishna is the rainbow of that white light. Hare represents the ever-changing, that which takes away, that which dissolves and evolves like fire. Hare represents the aspect of cosmos which is constantly renewing itself and taking away the old and appearing as ever new form in front of us. So Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So Ram is the Shiva and Krishna is the Shakti, the action, the creativity. These 2 words define the culture of the whole cosmos. And through these 2 attributes of the culture of cosmos, our interiority is formed. Your awareness, your wisdom, your presence, and its expression into 7 colors, which is body, 7 chakras, and combination of actions, 5 elements. So this is the original culture in us, and this is the culture of the cosmos through which it is eternally creating, forming and expanding. Ram is like a dot in the mandala. Krishna is the dance and the design of mandala around. So when you chant Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, remember not only to address some concept of God inside you, but address this very body, this very presence within you, and this life cosmos around you. That is the Hare Rama, the Hare Krishna, the Shiva and Shakti. I've been talking and putting posts, doing workshops. As I was going through this process, the seed idea which was inside me, which was haunting me, because that's what masters implanted into me, I believe. And that's what my life has been, exploration of Krishna and Rama, and see the perversion of those 2 dimensions within us which has taken place in our culture today. And as I talked and shared with you guys, and I met beautiful human beings and interacted with them through their personal lives and issues, more and more it made me clear that what is missing, and what is missing is that we have forgotten this inner culture. So, I want to talk about this inner culture and how what I share is related with that inner culture, with Ram and Krishna. So, this inner culture of silence, meditation, presence, and celebration, creation, and participation. The silence and presence is the appreciation of the Shakti, the feminine. The silence and presence is the Shiva, the male aspect, which appreciates and reflects the forms of Shakti expressing itself, forming new forms. And that's what we all look for in others, that they should appreciate us as we are. But we have forgotten this appreciation. We have got lost into just a performance, not a celebration, not a creation, but performance. We are hunting for the eyes of the others, for the attention of the others. That is one of the key psychological base of every human being functioning today. We are longing, our Shakti is longing from a Shiva outside, whereas the solution lies within you. That you have to establish yourself into your Rama, and which gives birth, that white light gives birth to the Krishna, to the Shakti, the actions inside you. So you see, what we define culture today is kind of a set definition of certain rituals, songs, and processes. And that has become a burden instead of being a growth. The very word culture comes from the culture which we use to make curd out of milk. So this culture of curd is a very live phenomena. It's constantly mutating and evolving. It's like a river. It's not a pond of culture, but it's a river of culture, which reflects the nature of life, which is constantly evolving, growing, expanding, being creative, and abandoning the old city and keep moving through new cities and reaches the ocean. But today, the same culture has become a kind of moralistic, ethical burden on human beings, that this is my culture, that this is the way our culture does. This is all crap which we are fed with. Whereas a culture, a true culture, you can see in trees, in plants, in rivers, in nature. It's constantly improvising and evolving and moving. That's what Hare is. Hare means a constant movement, a constant burning like fire. And nature of fire is, it teaches us how to be constantly new, constantly becoming a new light by discarding and burning the old. And that's how fire represents the eternity of life, which is constantly renewing itself and evolving out of its own body. So, what has gone wrong to this culture? Because what I am proposing is the re-establishing the inner culture. First, it is important to understand that what has gone wrong with our inner culture and with the culture outside and the chaos which we are seeing. You see, this inner culture, this Ram, this Krishna are divided within us. Material life, which is Krishna, spiritual life, which is Rama. And it all happened by the definitions of misinformed, idiotic people who made rules about the river, that this wave looks like this, so this is the rule of life. So, same is with spirituality. What things were said, we made them rules to be applied to the life. And hence, instead of being a live process, the spiritual process and the material process has become words, ethics, morals to be imposed on humans. So we are asking the live life of a human being, the live fire of the human being, to fit into small boxes of thoughts. In our culture, we have divided the material and the spiritual. We have divided the Ram and Krishna. We started to make them a contradictions, whereas they are hands, two hands of one cosmos. It's like if we tell a child when he takes birth that you choose which hand you want to use rest of your life, left or right. You cannot use the other because it's against the other hand. That is in a joke. In a nutshell, it is explaining our whole contradiction, schizophrenia, and suffering. Because each human is suffering because he has chosen one hand and denying the other hand. And hence, we are limping and hopping through the life and have dreams about flying. We can't even walk with our two dimensions, and we think of flying. The greatest curse which has happened to humanity is when material life and spiritual life became two separate lives. In Sanatana Dharma, in India, in Bharat, this was part of the cycle of life. You function as a creator, then you create, because that is how cosmos flow through us, because we are creators as well. So you create a life, you create a body, you create your actions and give birth to something. That giving birth is slowly qualifying you to finally give new birth to yourself. First, you sharpen the dimension of creativity to give birth through your actions. So, as a child, as a young man, you should be trained to be creative and expressive, the Krishna aspect. And that creation and that celebration, that Krishna brings you back to the source, the white light, the Rama. That's where the meditation dimension is waiting for you, where you become quiet and still and be present. And through that quietness and presence and stillness, your light again expands and celebrates through seven colors, through love, to gives out its light, its colors, through actions, through relations. And you form co-creating with the cosmos, because you and cosmos are not two separate entities. But the tragedy which has happened today, which we call Kali Yuga, is that thought has become the dominance in our culture. Thought which is cut off from the laws of life, from the flow of the wisdom, from the flow of energy. Thought is like a small box in which it is trying to fit whole life into few concepts, few thoughts. This very thought, because it is immature and childish, and it has divided the life into two aspects, inner aspect and the outer aspect, spiritual aspect and the material aspect. Hence, these both aspects have become perverted, contorted, and destructive within us. You can see that around. A materialist is suffering as well as a spiritualist is suffering because they both have chosen one aspect, one hand, one dimension of life. They have chosen one wing and long to fly but are unable to, and that is the suffering. Ma Durga will not forgive you if you choose her just one dimension, because Durga is stillness as well as celebration. That's what Rama, Krishna is. They are all aspects of our dimensions of our energy. She will not forgive you will be the wrong thing to say. I believe more true will be that you curse yourself by choosing just one dimension of life, and as a consequence, your ignored aspect takes revenge from you and haunts you and destroys your effort into either world. Materialist comes across failures and suffering because the inner aspect, the Ram aspect, is missing, and spiritualist struggles and fights with the attractions of the material world because it never came in healthy terms, in acceptance, in celebration of its life, rather than rejection of the life and its challenges, and escaped into the inner world. So, this paradox, this schizophrenia within us, is haunting us, is haunting our culture. So, whereas our Krishna, our everyday action of creation and celebration and participation into life has become a drag, a boredom, a endless suffering. Why? Because we have made celebration aspect of our action into efficiency, and that efficiency is produced by a childish mind, by misinformed mind, by a idiotic mind, and it starts to drag through situations. It's like converging your light through the lens of your desires and stupidities of mind into one limited action and getting trapped into it. No wonder we long for expansion. No wonder we long for juice, because we are cut off from the juice of celebration. So, hence, indulgences enter into our life, because in our normal action we have made it in efficiency and a boredom, and our being then longs for juice, so it finds alternatives through entertainment, through drugs, through indulgences, through addictions to relations, to thoughts. But the root cause of all of this is that you are missing the connection, the juice, the flow. And on the other hand, same happens with spiritual dimension, that you withdraw from life which has given you birth and calling it Maya, illusion, and against you, and you apply the same psyche and call spiritual the only importance, the liberation, the only goal of life, and you start to isolate yourself from this life. And this isolation finally kills the spiritual people, because once you are isolated and withdrawn from your energy, from your body, you will not live long, because life functions by the attraction, by the movement of two polarities. Most of the people who have renounced the world, they are constantly haunted by the memories and the repressed desires, sexuality, and needing of warmth and companionship. But they, in their youth, get stuck into that holier than thou ego and want to be special. Oh, I am spiritual, I don't care about all this kind of crap. They end up destroying the beauty of life within themselves and around. With their spiritual ideas, they haunt others, criticize others, call them material, People who are celebrating and enjoying, they live down upon them. So karmically it all comes back to you, that who are you? What made you think that spiritual is better than the material and material is better than the spiritual? Who are you to decide that left hand is better than the right or right is better than the left? So this kind of thinking is a curse in itself. It just shows that you are divided and you need to repair that. If we look at it through practical point, which I see what is happening with people who are doing yoga, that they are all aiming for healthy body. But healthy body for what if you did not dance with it? Healthy body cosmos gives you so that you appreciate, sing and celebrate. Then efficiency, the abundance is born out of it. But we are all doing everything in material and in spiritual. What is the benefit? There is no benefit, because you have gotten the greatest benefit, that is this life. And if you don't appreciate that benefit, then you don't qualify for any benefit. And appreciation of this benefit brings out celebration, creativity into you, because that creativity is not the property of artist or few human beings. That creativity is your inner nature into every human being. And that creativity is related with sexuality. Now you can see where the problem is. So we are repressed sexually, we are repressed energetically, we are repressed with the dimensions of our sensuality, and that's what life is. It's creativity, it gives new birth, it's full of million watts of abundant energy. That's how it can create human beings, this earth, this cosmos. And this very energy our mind has become enemy of, has become a holy priest who is judging and destroying this energy and ends up destroying its own roots. Mind is like a leaf which is rejecting the roots from which it is coming. So your mind has to come to realize that it is child of this very creativity, this very energy. And on a material level, people call just the leaves everything. They deny the roots where they come from. So they ignore their inner aspect. They get trapped into thoughts and outside actions. They don't realize that to shoot an arrow, you have to pull back, means you have to go in, gather energy, and then you shoot the arrow outside. So this balance is what is required to give birth to the inner culture, to re-establish the inner culture. I hear and see a lot about forming a new culture, new humanity, but all those efforts I see are just gathering old thoughts from different religions and philosophers and trying to impose them. But they have forgotten the core, the hardware of that inner culture, which is within you, the Ram and the Krishna. When in our old scriptures they said that, what is the solution for Kali Yuga? They said that the name chanting of Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, because that will take you out of trouble, out of your darkness. But it is just not only about chanting name. It also about applying to life what Ram represents, what Krishna represents. So to make your material and spiritual aspect come together, and to make your work in life as a celebration of Krishna, and to make meditation and spirituality not against or a rejection of life, but an appreciation of life, sitting in silence and feeling this cosmos around. Your Rama Krishna are friends within. So they are not working against each other, they are working for each other within you. They are not claiming that who is the king. This is what happened in Hinduism also. Who is greater, Rama or Krishna? This childish crap is so disgusting to hear. Who is greater, Shiva? Who is greater, Durga? This is children. I see they sound intellectuals, but they are so retarded into their thinking, because thought essentially is retarded, because it is just one dimension and one aspect, as if you are calling one leaf the whole tree. That is a retarded intelligence, because a leaf is the tree and tree is the leaf. Krishna is Rama, Ram is Krishna. White light is the rainbow and rainbow is white light. You have to bridge this inner duality by organic thinking, which I am sharing with you. Because if we stay with this duality, and if people think spiritual will give us the guidance and correct the world, or if you think that some material way will be there, extreme progress in science will give us the world, no, it won't happen. One hand cannot create, it needs both hands to create something. It needs all notes to create a music. Just one note is not sufficient. So these two dimensions need to be re-established. That is why in my life, through my masters, Osho, Krishnamurti, Sufi masters and all that, I learned. That's why Osho insisted so much on celebration and creation. He was not just being some original thinker. This is how the way of life is. If you have wisdom, if you have health, if it doesn't create and celebrate, then there is no point to that wisdom. Wisdom of spirituality is not to fix things and take care of your diseases, but to create gardens, to create new forms, new dance and songs. That's where you are validating this cosmos. Otherwise, it's a prison. You are just surviving and fixing your problems. Life keeps on giving you the problems and you fix them. Then you have seen it wrongly, because problems are challenges for our creativity to come up with new forms, to new dimensions. So the most healing aspect within us, let me say it another way because that will be misinterpreted. The most healing aspect is a wrong word. The right way to say is that both aspects are healing, the Ram and Krishna, but both aspects has gone wrong. So the way to approach the inner culture, to re-establish inner culture, is that you have to become creative and expressive, as well as you have to be meditative, still, and be present. So that is why the path I am sharing, through which I learned so many dimensions of life, because of that I suffered also, because I was confused by people and other teachers that either spirituality or materiality, what are you doing, what is this? But there I saw that their minds were limited. They were afraid of life in either way. Spiritualist is afraid of material. Material is avoiding the spiritual, because then his mind games won't work. So that's why I insist on creativity, because through creativity you discover your dimension as a creator, as a Brahma, as a Krishna. And that gives you a capacity as you grow in life through creativity, through celebration. That gives you a dimension available to you of giving birth to yourself, to discovering your own new being. Through each new creation, you give birth to new form of you, and that culminates into meditation or samadhi. And that samadhi is not beyond this cosmos, but samadhi is becoming this cosmos. It's not only defining it's all empty, it's also you are everything. And key to that is creativity, because why we indulge in life is that we are missing juice. And why we are missing juice is that we are no more participating and creating, which brings juice into life. Hence, you will not be dependent on indulgences or relations or things or thoughts, but you are plugged into the flow of the cosmos, of this great river Ganga, which is flowing through us, and you will take dip into it through your creative actions, and you will understand the movement of life. That movement is the movement of the whole cosmos. So you want to get connected with this cosmos, with your spirituality, then connect and be present into your present action. That's what I teach through art, because through art it teaches you engagement, a creative engagement with your action. And remember, creativity is not just about making things, creativity is also healing. When your body is sick, what body does? It creates new cells and destroys the old cells. And if your energy, which has happened, is not creative, it will go into destruction, which has happened. Because you are not creative, you are not connecting with your juice. Hence, the same energy into your work, which is a drag, becomes destructive and destroys itself through indulgences, through pleasures, and destroys the body. Because we do not realize when the fire can give you life, to give you light and cook, if not treated properly, it can burn your house also. So same is true with our own energy. If you don't engage and direct it into some creative actions every day and create that pattern of healing. Creativity means destroying the old, that is the destructive aspect of creativity, and giving birth to the new out of that fire. What is carving? Carving is destroying a stone with a chisel and hammer, but you give birth to a new form. So, to understand creativity and why it scares us also is that it is destructive also, because that's where artists were rebels, because they were not fitting into the norms of the society. They were always inventing something new. And today the culture which we see is not created by these corporates and business and people who say materiality is everything. It's created by people who are dancers, singers, musicians, artists, poets, and they became the light and inspiration on which cultures are formed and businesses are formed and our lifestyles are formed. It was creativity of different human beings, that we have homes, we have beautiful artwork, we have all the appliances, but greedy human minds made it a business. Even we sell water, we sell sunshine, we sell everything. Whereas creative mind is full of abundance. It is not caring about storing anything but constantly forming new forms. When you come across a challenge like an artist does, it invents new ways. Same is true about life, same is true about your body. When it faces a sickness, it forms competitive new cells to face that sickness. And in that creativity, your body becomes more powerful and immune. But if you take the same body, protected from all viruses and diseases, which is happening in rich cultures, that so much healthcare is available, and most of the people died in high healthcare countries because their body is no more immune to fight and create new resistances and new life forms to take care of the new. When you start to become creative into your life, into your actions, problems and difficulties become a challenge for your creativity. Instead of feeling sad or down with challenges, you feel excited. You feel challenged to participate and invent new ways. When you invent new way, in life, you're inventing a new way for the whole life. It is actually the life itself evolving through you, mutating through you. But if you live in thoughts and repetition of thoughts and memories and behaviors, that creates cancer within. Each sickness in us is the old in us is eating off the new in us. This in nutshell defines all the evil, all the vampires, all the things which are wrong in our culture is when the old establish itself at the authority and guides the new and controls the new energy to feed itself. And I'm not talking here about any society outside. I am talking about your interiority as well. Within your interiority, your ego mind is never allowing anything new. And it's only repeating itself and using the new energy to establish itself. And on deeper level, this very repetition of the old becomes cancer, a disease inside. So creativity is a way of healing. If you create a pattern in your energy to create every day, to dance every day, to sing every day, whatever appeals to you, it's not about becoming artists or dancers, it's about giving a pattern, a new design to your energy every day, of participating with the new, of expressing and celebrating. When you create that fire, it burns all the stagnant energies into you. You don't have to analyze and figure out, you just have to burn them and burn bright into the present, into creation, into your action as a celebration. And then when you sit down, a natural silence overtakes you. What yogis try for years, it can happen to you within few hours, because there is no struggle. There is no struggle as a spiritualist, there is no struggle as a materialist. There is a natural way. It's like creating and then settling. That silence after creativity nourishes and gives you deep insights. All the great Upanishads scriptures which were written, they were written by rishis. Rishis is a deeper word for poets. Poet is the ordinary poet which plays with words, but rishi is the one who talks about cosmos and its functioning and consciousness in a beautiful poetic way. So they were deeply creative people. If you want to understand life, you have to become like life, to be a creator, and taking care of that creation is Vishnu, and ending that creation is the Shiva. Here ending does not mean the death. Here ending means rebirth of new creation. Because there are philosophies which say Shiva is everything, death is everything, everything ends. Life is not idiotic like the way you think. Life ends something only when it wants to give birth to something new. It just doesn't end. Then it will be very idiotic cosmos. So it's better than not to live into it. That's what many people choose finally. To get rid of this life, because it's just everything ends. But you are not seeing every given moment, all that you have lived till now is ending. But at the same time, it is appearing as a new present moment which you miss. Yes, of course, it ends your memories and stories, and it comes as a new. So egoistic mind, a fatalistic mind, a nihilistic mind will say, oh, everything ends, everything is Maya. No, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna means a new fire always, a new light always. Who cares about the old then? You are participating, and that is Bhakti. Bhakti is not chanting and believing into some God and one day we'll meet him in some heaven or something. No. Bhakti is meeting him where he is, where she is, and celebrating along with her through your actions, through your creativity, through your silences, through your meditations. I am not sharing techniques with you to get liberated or get something. I am sharing techniques with you so you can Get creative with your interiority as well as your exteriority. You get creative with your sitting still, and you become creative with your actions outside. And once that creativity enters your life, you will notice that your presence, your touch is like magic. Whichever situation, whichever relation you go into, whichever work you do, your engagement, your creativity will bring prosperity to that action, will bring prosperity to that community, will bring prosperity and love to the other human beings, because you no more set yourself into old pattern. You meet life like Bhole Shankar, the Shiva, always with clear, pure eyes of a child, and respond to it. And that's what the mother, the Durga, likes, to meet you with fresh eyes. That's where she shows her new forms to you. She shares her new energies to you. But if you go with the old eyes and old definitions by spiritual books and philosophies, and you look at it, you will not be able to see it, and you will miss the train, and you will feel isolated. We are feeling isolated and cut off because of our thoughts, because of our memories, because of our beliefs into the concepts of self realization, spirituality, chakra, this and that. Whereas it's all happening here right now. All your chakras, all your dimensions are part of this present light, the new fire. Whatever you need to know for this moment, all is available. But for that, you have to be available here, like a child, available. It does not mean you become vulnerable and defenseless. Then the whole cosmos, the great Mother Durga, the Shiva, the mother and father of the present moment, the awareness and energy of the present moment are with you. They are flowing with you. But only condition is you don't trust your old thoughts, but you trust this present formation. And that's what trust means, that you trust the thing which is right in front of you, not some concept which is gone and it's a graveyard. You dig up a dead body of thought and you say, this is the truth. You're missing the garden and flying birds and fruits, and you are talking about dead old leaves. Creativity brings healing because now your psyche is constantly into rebirthing, becoming new. Hence, your body follows your command, as it follows the command in disease, when your mind believes into old and your body starts to become old. But if you're constantly taking a new birth with each chant, Hare Ram, you are present with the fire. Your body follows your command. It also starts to renew itself. It also starts to give birth to new cells, new energies. Not only your spirituality become radiant, but your body also start to glow. Along with this cosmos, along with this sun, it starts to flow along with this rivers, along with the flow of earth. It starts to expand along with the cosmos, along with the expansion and the song of this Om, the ever going eternal sound of Om, which has no birth and no death. Our beginning and ends are just stories in the mind. Otherwise, we are always present and we always will be present. What death is, a story of mind. Ending of a thought is the death. We don't even realize we are dying every moment and we're taking birth every moment. But mind creates an ideas by seeing other people's body dying, and we think there is a death, there is an ending. Nobody knows. Only person who dies who knows did he die or not. So it's like falling asleep. You never come to know when you fell asleep. And while you were asleep, were you aware you were asleep? And in that you were watching another dream. Then you wake up and then you enter your real life dream. So same is happening with life and death. Once your body ends, your dream continues and takes a new birth. So in that sense, there is no death as we think. Real dare is to die every day. Then there will be no death for you, because then you know there is no death. Because then you are taking birth with this new fire every given moment. Then your fears about life, about Ram, about Krishna, about Shakti disappears. You realize it is your own being, your own mother, father, your own body. How they can be against you? So the thought which has created this duality within us has to be taken care of, has to be guided in right kind of thinking. So I welcome you people. It's just an invitation to come join hands in forming this new culture within us first. Then that will reflect into our actions. And if there are enough human beings who trust this inner culture, then a new culture will take birth. The culture which is present today is reflecting the interiority, the inner culture of 7 billion people. It's not fault of few corporates or politicians. They all are the movie screen, but projection rooms are the human beings who are on their micro level, are also divided, who are within themselves, are also, their minds are also a greedy corporate and a manipulative politician. And this appears into our actions, into our education, into our approach to the life. So, what I am sharing with you is not to please your mind through the various philosophies and how to get out of the life, how to get liberated, and all that. I am sharing with you the Bhakti, the modern way of forming an inner culture, of agreeing with the cosmos and participating with the cosmos through your celebration, through your silence, through your meditation, not as a rejection of one against the other, but as an inclusion, including everything as part of your family. So this approach also applies within that. When you include your emotions and thought as part of you instead of analyzing and fighting with them, they start to work with you. They become your power, your energy. And that gathering of energy brings out a celebration from within you. That participation with life starts to participate with you. Then you function fearlessly, like a flower which blooms fearlessly. It's not aggressive, it is just making its claim and sound and singing its song. So, becoming a fearless sound, your action should be a fearless sound, because you are celebrating, you are expanding, and it's not your personal expansion. This is the way of life. And we have been cut off from this way of life by wrong definitions, and we start to hesitate and shrink. That's why I ask you that when you chant fearlessly, chant like you're blooming and you are singing along with the cosmos. That very action can change your whole life, every action, every emotion. Of course, people will define you and will say why you have become different, but you have not become different, you have become who you are. So don't agree with your compromised self, rebel against it and roar, because cosmos is roaring. It's a loud music which is expressing into forms of earth, trees, human beings, and cosmoses, and planets, and galaxies. All expression of one roar, one mind, one wisdom. So Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So acknowledge your Ram, acknowledge your Krishna. Make them friends with inside you. And then you become the magic which cosmos is. Then you don't need any other magics, because when you are living in magic, you don't need miracles, because you are living in a miracle. Acknowledge, trust, and flow with it. Be creative, be celebrative, be dancing, and be still, be appreciative. And then Mother Durga holds your hand and Shiva shows the way. Hari Om. Namaste.
Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhaj Man Haran Bhav Bhayo Darunam Nav Kanj Lochan Kanj Mukh Kar Kanj Pad Kanjarunam Shri Ramachandra Kripa